What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite for a very exciting video here for you guys. We're going to be going through the endgame boss fights, the final cutscene, plus how to unlock 9 free operator skins. Definitely stay tuned. As a reminder, folks, just earlier today I posted a walkthrough of every single co-op mission, so for those looking for a walkthrough of the entire co-op campaign, that playlist is going to be linked down below, and I also just posted a separate vid going over all the rewards from the 11 linear missions. But you can also save upwards of 12% off any order at Control Freak, including for the brand new Black Ops 7 Performance thumbsticks, which come with an in-game weapon charm, and you can also save upwards of $50 off any order over at AIM Controllers, including for the brand new Guild BO7 remote. But just for clarity, over in Endgame, the operator selection does work similarly to DMZ and Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. As of right now, you only have access to 4 different operator slots, which is important to note since they may end up releasing other slots in the future. But every time you select a new operator and you create a new slot, the inventory is actually going to be a little bit different from what we experienced in DMZ. You can't stash any weapons, and the weapons you have in your class will remain with you regardless of which operator you choose. You can choose to swap your loadout weapon that you spawn in with, but that'll end up sacrificing the rarity you upgraded the weapon to in your previous match of Endgame. There's always a dedicated melee slot, and then you'll have one weapon that you can exfil with, and you can bring into every match regardless of which operator you choose. Now, what is tied to your specific operator, though, is your set of abilities and skills. So the skill rating system that Endgame does offer is exclusive and tied to the operator that you selected, meaning if your combat rating, let's say, is 40 or 50 with a certain character, it will not be that same rating when you select another operator until you level that other character up. Now, in Endgame, there's different rarity weapons, and it goes all the way up to Exotic. Exotic is a very exclusive rarity that you can only earn by random chance when you complete contracts in the Tier 4 zone. What's really cool is that in the boss fights, you're actually guaranteed exotic weapons as you kill the elites during the fight, and once you kill the boss himself, whose name is Faulkner. If you played the campaign, then you know exactly who this character is. Now, unfortunately, when you obtain an exotic weapon in a match of Endgame, you're only able to exfil with that one weapon, and if, let's say, you find another, you're going to have to swap that exotic weapon out for the other one that you'd like. So in my case, I ended up finding a shotgun of exotic rarity from this boss fight, and when I beat Faulkner again, I ended up getting an M8, which I decided to grab instead. Now, upon beating Dr. Faulkner and confirming the kill, which will trigger a cutscene followed by an exfil, you'll unlock a free skin if you are playing as one of the following characters. There's Anderson, we then have Lin, we have Vermaak, Zaveri, Jurado, a character named Grin. We then have Faulkner himself, who also happens to be a playable character. We then have Razor, and even Emma Kagan. Now, you can't get a free skin in Endgame if you're playing as any of the Vault Edition characters, which includes Spectre 1, and you also won't be able to get any Endgame skins for the Zombies crew, whether it's the original characters or the Requiem characters. So right now there's 21 playable characters, and 9 of them do have skins that you can earn if you beat the boss fight while playing as said character. So in my first match beating Dr. Faulkner, I was playing as Jurado, who currently has the monster skin, and upon beating him, I got this outfit for the same character. I then ended up joining another game where we cheesed the boss once again, while I was playing as Emma Kagan with a 0 combat rating since I hadn't played as her in Endgame yet, and we ended up clutching it up and unlocking the skin for her. So as far as how this boss fight works, Dr. Faulkner himself could be found in the protocol point of interest towards the very bottom of the map, essentially on his own island. Now, when you enter Tier 4, it is recommended that you have a combat rating of at least 45. When I ended up beating this for the first time, I wasn't even at combat rating 40 yet. I was still at, like, I want to say 37 or 38, but I had a buddy who was in, I think, the early 50s, and another friend who was actually in his late 40s. Now, the reason it's important to have a higher combat rating before going to Tier 4 is because of the damage and health boost that you can actually earn as you progress through all the combat ratings, which in my opinion are absolutely necessary to take on some of these tougher enemies, and you can also end up getting upwards of a 4-plate vest, which I'd highly recommend before going into this boss. However, there is a way to cheese this. If, let's say, you jump right into a match, because again, Endgame is a endless server, meaning when you join into a match, other players might already be doing activities, and their countdown timer may already be halfway done, even if your 40-minute timer just started. So right when you spawn in, it's good to check if other players out there are attempting to defeat Dr. Faulkner, because you could just join that other squad and become a platoon as you were able to do in both DMZ and Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. Having a set team of like 6 to 8 people can make this a million times easier. So once you're on this island of Protocol, your first objective is to take out all of the toxic growth around this area. So this is very similar to the other toxic objectives around Avalon, and we also saw this in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, where once you're in a certain building, you have to look for all the infested spores to clear the area out. It's very similar to that, except you're going to be seeing spores in groups of like, I want to say 4 to 6, and you're going to see these groups in several areas around Protocol, both within buildings and even outside of them. They could be hard to spot, so if you have a teammate kind of running around with the launcher, destroying them very quickly, that's helpful, while other teammates try to distract all the tougher zombies around the map while they're maybe using abilities, throwing decoy grenades, whatever it is you could do to distract the enemies while at least one player goes around and shoots all the spores. But with more players in this zone, it's obviously a lot easier for some of you guys to manage crowd control to shoot all the spores possible until that bar gets to 100%. Once the bar gets to 100%, Dr. Faulkner himself, who's now a disciple, will spawn in, and there'll be plenty of other elite enemies in the background. You can easily just sit on the rock, kind of right by the shore. You can be on rooftops while also watching for zombies that can attack you from behind. I'd really recommend grappling and gliding as much as you can around this area to make sure that you're not getting hit too many times. Hit up those ammo caches to get more armor plates whenever you need them, and make sure you are using an orange rarity weapon, or an exotic one if you have, against the boss, especially the enemies that are around him. Now, obviously, Endgame just came out, so there'll be a lot more people attempting this boss over the next couple of days and even weeks, so it'll probably be more common over the next month to see a lot of squads attempting this boss all together, in which case it'll be an absolute cakewalk, even if you don't have the best combat rating or the best upgraded weapon. And I'm also sure they'll end up being a hyper-optimized, super sweaty meta that people are going to put together to absolutely breeze through this boss, and any future bosses that also get added to Endgame, which I hope also will reward us with some operator skins. But like I said, I'd highly recommend going after Faulkner in a fresh game where you have a full 40-minute timer. That way you have plenty of time to navigate through this area of Protocol where you can run trains and you can glide around, and you can very carefully get your shots off on Dr. Faulkner without worrying about a countdown timer, which will end up making you rush and could likely get you killed in the process because of all the enemies that are spawning. Now, something we tried was popping active camo so you can get a good angle on the Faulkner boss, and then going for as many critical shots as you can. Obviously, the drone pod will help you with some of the enemies nearby. They'll do some damage against the boss himself. While it also really comes in handy to maybe have one player run a war machine, possibly a hand cannon, and most certainly an orange rarity launcher. I will say the arrow launcher allows you to spam it pretty quickly, so that's going to be your absolute go-to against this boss, at least as of right now on launch day. But as long as several players in that match, whether it's a full 4-man, whether it's a platoon of 6 or even 8, as long as several different players have orange rarity weapons and they're getting in a lot of good hits on this Faulkner boss, it's really not going to be that difficult. But only go in with a low combat rating and unupgraded weapons if, let's say, you're being carried by several other players who are helping you get a free operator. Now, once you kill Dr. Faulkner, you have to confirm the kill, which will then trigger the following cutscene.
Oh, fuck me, I'm tired.
Of course you are. You're old as shit.
I think we all deserve some R&R.
Colonel?
I'm updating your flight plan. We may have kicked the guild out of Avalon. They're mobilizing in larger numbers.
The guild's gearing up for something big, with marching orders all coming from one source.
Dorn. Kagan's right hand.
I think he's both hands now.
And what's he after?
That's what you're gonna find out.
World can't afford another Avalon.
Kagan was surgical, precise. Dorn is a rabid dog on the loose.
It's time to put him down.
But ladies and gentlemen, that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. Obviously, it's encouraged for you to go ahead and repeat this boss upwards of 8 other times so you can get those other free operator skins. Really does remind me of the numbers operator outfits that we saw back in Blackout, which was also the same skin but for different characters. Really a fan of this system. Very excited to see how many updates Endgame does get within the first couple of seasons. Well, I also plan on making even more Endgame videos, from a beginner's guide to a super optimized strategy with getting as much power as you can to get a fast combat rating boost. But with that being said, really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.